Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the European Crossover webinar. You can see the IFO Business Climate new just came out 90.1, waiting for current conditions and expectations. 89.2. $91.1. So a little bit in line, although expectations were a tad bit lower on German IFO. At the top of this next hour, we will have Eurozone economic sentiment, industrial sentiment, and services. That'll be up top of the next hour. And as we roll into the States, the IGA economic activity index for Mexican data. National activity in Dallas Fed manufacturing business index at 10:30 Eastern here in the States. And then tomorrow we'll have UK employment data. Let's see, as the time goes by, let's see. And monthly home sales and case show. This is tomorrow in the States. Consumer confidence, Richmond Fed, and of course Dallas services. Of course, today we get Dallas manufacturing. Aussie. Durable goods on the 27th here in the States. Oh, we have the Fed also. I wouldn't expect anything much out of the Fed, I wouldn't think, although I don't know if they have a presser afterwards. This might be Thursday. German CPI data and GDP data in the States with retail sales and jobs came. So yeah, that'd be Thursday. Followed by home sales, KC Fed manufacturing, and then what the heck? And then on Friday, German import prices, Spanish retail sales, German GDP and unemployment, and personal income and spending, and employment benefits here in the States with Canadian GDP and Shy PMI and University of Michigan, but those will be final figures. So as I said, we did get the German iPhone numbers. With that, the euro dollar is trading relatively quiet. We can swing over to that quickly. You can see the euro here trading relatively quiet here. Not a whole lot of movement. Quick overview, cable. Still hanging on to that 137 level here. Aussie, no big change. Kiwi, a little bit bid this morning. With dollar CAD, after that hammer we had so on Thursday, followed through on Friday, and relatively quiet, but we've come back down to, I think that's our bias chart support actually today, 2680. What was that? 2686. We could take a quick poke, a quick peek. What the heck? I didn't save my thing. That's odd. I'm going to have to use the derivative notes. Let me go back here. It didn't save any of my notes here. That's really weird. Look at that. Well, I'm going to have to pull up the ForexAnalytix notes. Doggone, hang on. Bear with me. It's really weird. I wonder why I did that. Okay, it was support is 2684, and we were at 2685. Not bad. I'll probably have to redo those. But anyway, at least I got them saved on there. They're on the under basic technical. For anyone that's new, under basic technical in the ForexAnalytix analysis page. Anyway, let's go and take a quick look at the peso. Hold up relatively well here. Dollar yen's been really quiet here, although we're a little bit bid. And then finally, we'll take a quick look at the dollar index. A little bit bid, but although quiet. If this was the same way. What the heck? I don't know why this didn't save it. That's really weird. Anyway, let's go on and go back. We'll take a quick look at the indices. Humphrey says, hello to everyone. Irina says, good morning again. Could you please also look at Tesla and Bitcoin, please? Okay, we'll take a quick look at Bitcoin and we'll get to Tesla. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. We're actually looking at the NASDAQ right now. For anyone that's new, we'll go and look at the S&P, but let's go to Bitcoin real quick. So here's Bitcoin on the 2-hour chart, which we'll easily spend more of our focus in. We'd actually dropped out of this, and let's take a quick look at the daily. At least we've rallied back a little bit here, but this was a good little pullback here. Let's open this up. And what I mean by a good pullback is, at the time, I didn't even realize this. I had this level of re-existing. I wasn't paying attention at that time. I should have. But look, that's when I had a good pullback. That 29,114, look, we dipped right to there and saw a nice bounce. And notice how we went right to that broken trend line, and then we rotated lower. I think I had this one in there too, because sometimes it trades very well as far as the levels here on Bitcoin. But the next key challenge is 34,800. We talked about that before, if you remember. But that's going to be the key line right there. We got to get above 34,800, and we need 2 consecutive closes above that. That would put us back inside here, but 2 consecutive closes above 34,800 would then kickstart us. For those that try and take it on, the buy stop would be, I'm saying that let's say try to short that level would be 35,530. That would really just power us. But if we can get 2 consecutive closes above 34,800, then that would negate the downside, and then a close above, and we'll actually mark it off right here. See, that's 35,508. So we broke down here. I did post a chart over the weekend, but anyway, this is bearish. Okay, I mean, quite obvious, but I'm saying it stays bearish until we can get back above this 34,800 with two back-to-back consecutive closes. So we saw a pretty nice technical level. Look, it rallies right up to the trend line, rotates back down. We hold the 31,493. We dip below it and see how they close back above it right here, and we keep on mounting. Now, we could run out a little bit of gas here, but I'm just saying the area, because there's a little bit of resistance right there. You see that? But that being said, in order for us to negate, or for bulls to negate this downside move, they need 2 consecutive 2-hour closes above 34,800. You get above this level, now you're back on the mode going back higher. So just thought I'd share that real quick. Take a look where we stand here on NASDAQ. Here's the 2-hour chart. And I did share this over the weekend, and I think it's on Friday night, and we were here in the chat room. I know me, and I think Didier was there too, and I forgot who else was there also, and we were going back and forth. But this was Friday evening. But anyway, that being said, one of the things I was looking at is, I said, it looks like this thing wants to go for another leg higher. And that would actually get us to, which actually not that far away, which gets us to 35. Let's put this here. And I didn't think this would happen until we got towards Wednesday, which is when they have the Apple earnings. But man, this thing is still going. Look at that. Holy smokes. But when you take a look here on the 30-minute, if you look here, I did this over the weekend, and of course, we're on a buy mode, because one of the things that we always talk about here is a big momentum switch is when you get, because we use the exponential moving average, okay, and we generate a sell signal. If you generate, whether it's a sell signal or buy signal, it doesn't make any difference. But if you generate that and it's short-lived, or it flips back, then anybody that played the short side here are going to have stops above here, and generally it means or bodes for a extended move much higher. And we're seeing that right now. We're actually on the highs at this moment. But what I did was I looked at this is over this period of time, the low and the high. I said, if we do break on coming into Sunday, if we do break, then this was the move we could get to. Or this would be the same range here, extended higher. And it looks like that gets us right here to 13,564. Well, 13,564 would confluence right here with 13,553, the 161% extension. So it looks like that's where we're going. I thought we were going to kind of wait until maybe Wednesday to get there, or late Tuesday, but shoot, we're doing it here before U.S. equities have even opened. That's the take on that. Let's go on and take a look at the news, and we'll get to Tesla. We can also take a look at gold. Gold falls more than 1% on a firm dollar, but on course for a weekly gain. Oh, that was from Friday, so get rid of that one. And let's take a look. FX traders brush off ECB talk and bet on a euro dollar has further to run. How strong is the euro despite European policymakers' alarm overrun to a 2.5-year high against the dollar? Several factors governing exchange rates that apply to the single currency bout of strength are far from over. ECB boss Christine Lagarde said on Thursday the bank was closely watching the euro, which has surged 9% last year to about 123, its biggest annual gain in 4 years. The currency strength is the headache for the ECB, with it struggling to somehow get the inflation towards 2% mark, and saw it stay above, and saw it stay below 0% in December for the 5th straight month. It's a headwind for exporters too, as companies like in Germany's DAX index derive 70% of their sales outside of Europe. Lagarde's comments, reiterating all instruments could be adjusted to ensure inflation moves towards the target, were interpreted by some as a warning. If traders don't stop pushing the euro higher than levels that suit the central bank, interest rates could be cut even further from the minus 0.5% half a basis point levels. The ECB is joining the ranks of those central banks who, because domestic pools have been largely been used up, discover the exchange rate as a monetary policy tool. Commerce Bank told clients. You can see here where we're at. Oh, yeah, I didn't know it could do that. Let's start trying. Okay, you can see here. Boy, this is like a yearly chart right here too. And we'll see what happens, whether we can go and push this or not. But anyway, let's keep going. But euro strength may be in reality be overstated and the ECB's wiggle room limited. Indeed, a median estimate of Reuters poll predicted the euro-dollar exchange rate to rise to 125 by year end. And we only barely pulled back here during those, getting proceeding, can't even talk this morning, proceeding from Lagarde's comments. Vasilios Giannakis of FX Strategy of Bank Lombard is even more bullish with a 127 forecast as to whether the euro is too strong. He points out in gains of late were primarily at the expense of the US dollar. A wider euro index measuring the exchange rate against 42 trade partners and watched by the ECB is indeed near 10-year highs, but its gains have been slowed since August as emerging currencies such as the yuan rebounded. Euro dollar, meanwhile, strengthened to 6% in this period. There's another euro supportive factor. 10-year interest rate differentials adjusted for inflation between the euro and the United States are currently at levels last seen in 2014, and the euro was around 137. Boy, I remember that. I remember that when the euro was at 137. Higher U.S. yields could narrow or eliminate that differential, but Federal Reserve officials' recent comments suggest they are in no mood to allow borrowing rates to rise, even as inflation expectations rise. And whether the ECB could actually respond with a rate cut remains debatable. With European banks facing volumes of pandemic-linked bad loans, the ECB will balk at hitting the sector with even lower rates. Put simply, the bar for more policy easing to stem currency gains is very high. And let's see, the dollar index resumes its decline as global markets turn hopeful again. A rebound in global market sentiment put new momentum behind the dollar decline on Monday, while riskier currencies strengthened as optimism about the President Biden's stimulus plans took precedence over the impact of COVID-19. Market sentiment has turned more cautious at the end of the week as ECB European economic data showed that the lockdown restrictions to limit the spread of the virus hurt business activity, dragging stocks lower. The mood picked up on Monday, however, lessening demand for the safe haven US dollar. The dollar index fell overnight and was down 0.2. Analysts expect a broad dollar decline in 2021. That speculative short position on dollar grew to its largest in 10 years in the week to January 19th. Federal Reserve meets on Wednesday, and Fed Chair Jerome Powell is expected to signal that no plans to wind back the Fed's massive stimulus anytime soon, news which could push the dollar further. I just don't see it. I don't see where he'd be saying anything like that. Maybe he would say, oh, we're keeping an eye on, generally speaking, but not anything to turn things around. The process of tapering QE is likely to be a gradual process which could last through 2022 and then potentially followed by the first rate hikes later in 2023, said MUFG analyst Lee Hardman. In those circumstances, we continue to believe that it's premature to expect the U.S. Dollar to rebound now in anticipation of policy tightening ahead and still see some scope for further weakness this year. In a phone call on Sunday with Republican and Democrat lawmakers, officials in the President Biden's administration tried to head off Republican concerns that the 1.9 trillion stimulus proposal, hopes which have filled the market sentiment since the U.S. election, was too expensive. Lawmakers from both parties said they had agreed that getting the COVID-19 vaccine in America should be a priority, but some Republicans object to such a hefty package only a month after Congress passed a $900 billion relief measure. The euro was flat against the dollar at 21.74. The ECB's last week, Lagarde said the bank was closely watching the euro. The euro surged 9% last year and reached to 2.5-year highs only in January. But despite the verbal intervention, traders remain bullish on the euro, expecting the bar for a rate cut to be high. Ulrich Luckman, head of FX strategy at Commerce Bank, wrote to Collins that in short, the threshold for the rate cut is high, and in the long term, more than one or two cuts would be impossible. Things are more complicated medium term, he said. Even if the ECB does not want to cut rates, if the euro were to become strong, we cannot be certain that it might tweak interest rates after all. Elsewhere, the Aussie dollar, which is seen as a liquid proxy, was at 77.73 versus the dollar. Australia approved the Pfizer COVID vaccine, but warned AstraZeneca that the country would need to distribute a locally manufactured shot. New Zealand dollar was up, while commodity-driven Norwegian crown was up 0.3. And there's the dollar index looking sick as a dog. Didn't even know that was an option. I've had this for a few years. Okay, with that, we'll go on and get moving. Okay, and I really wanted to take a look at Tesla. We'll move on to that. And then we'll start our FX analysis. You can see I've kind of moved things around. I've expanded this chart much larger because it's easier to see. And on the other screen, reduced it to 4 charts because there's just too many charts. Hard to make sense of what's going on. But let's go and move to Tesla. So here we are, Tesla. Move to the daily chart. There we go. We're still holding up here in the stars. Holy smokes. This is really unbelievable. We'll take a look at the 2-hour chart. So you can see here we're trading in this range from essentially 811 to, it's actually much lower. This one they ran out of gas here, but the range we're actually in is right here. There, which is right, we're at the top of that range, 862. So we're trading in essentially a $50 range. You can see that over nearly 2 weeks. Almost. If we can get above 861, then that next level is this 879. Not anything clear or definitive, to be quite honest with you. We're if you take a look here on the daily, there's your, which really on a daily would come down here to 815 on a closing basis. To 880 right there. You see here, we're just kind of like in no man's land right now. Now, if you look at, as I mentioned, if you take a look at it on a 2-hour chart, you can see here, we're actually at the top of this range. We just tagged it right now at 862. This is up for us to go and make that breakout. But for right now, we've started out the week pretty strong. Look at this. With this gap, we may rotate back towards this lower level right here, which would be 847. So you may see this market pare back a little bit. We shall see. But with that, we'll go on and move into the analysis now for FX. There we go. So starting off with the euro, let's see how this works because I know I've got the chart real big. And I don't think it saved the information. I don't know why. Look at that, it's blank. Let me switch over to the euro here. So the euro rallied off the 38%. You can see here last week on this pullback as equities went to new highs this past week. Resistance will be 22.23 with support at 21.19. Obviously still bullish, and let's make sure that saved it. That's that's weird. Hang on. Okay, saved now. Let's go and move into the cable. This is really weird. I mean, you would think this is like a 15-minute chart or something just because it's all up and down. But this has been all over the place. And I don't know why I didn't save it. Let me go pull up the next one. So the cable saw a solid rebound through the prior week. We can see that because once we look at that dip, look, it took off like a little bit of a rocket there. Resistance is going to be 37.61 with support at 35.75. We are dipping. We've actually come back a bit here, but a little bit of a wide range, but I think that's warranted considering what we've been looking at. Look at these sweeps, up here to 30, essentially 37, all the way back, sub 35, back up to 37, back down to about 35 and a quarter, back up to 37. So you get these wild swings, so you can see why we've got this, wide support and resistance to start the week. So resistance will be 37.61. We support at 35.75. $37.61 will remain the same. On to the Aussie. So the Aussie spent the past week testing both the sides of 78 and 77. Resistance will be 77.78 with support at 76.57. So once again, a little bit wider ranges to start the week because of that volatility we've seen as we had previously swung back and forth. And next is the Kiwi. So the Kiwi spent the bulk of the prior week vacillating in a 125 pip range. Resistance for the week will be 72.37. So wait. 72.37 with support at 71.14. Obviously, the trend remains bullish. 71.14, 72.37. Next is the dollar CAD. Oh, that one. Oh, that's right. We saved it just a little while ago. Okay, the dollar CAD posted a solid rebound on Friday following Thursday's hammer. The pair is open to further short covering. Resistance will be 27.65, followed by 28.16. Support will be 26.84. And this morning, the low is 26.85, so not bad. And resistance will be 27.65. If we get past that, it's 28.17, but 27.65. Onto the peso. So the dollar peso saw solid follow through on Friday. You can see here's Thursday and follow through. Boy, nice, pretty nice rebound on Friday. The pair rallied to 20.001. Resistance to start the week will be 20.008, followed by 2016. Support will be 1988. Obviously, still remains bearish. And we'll move on now to the dollar yen. Italian Conte is not looking to resign in the form of a new government. I don't know if that helps the euro or not, but anyway, looking at the dollar yen continues to tread water, albeit in a lower range. Resistance is going to be 402, followed by 452 for a major break. Support will be 340. And you can see here, we're just kind of trading at a very quiet range. Let's see, 366 to 388. Holy smokes, just a 22 pip range. Let's move on to the cash dollar index. So the dollar index, although off the recent lows, is stuck in a rut. Resistance for the week will be 90.79. We supported 80.80. So we haven't really gone anywhere. I meant to put 89.80. I don't know why I put 80.80. I meant to put 89.80 and 90.79. With that, we'll go and move into the cross rates. Go to the Kiwi yen. Boy, this thing's really been strong. Looks like it saved these notes. Yeah, it looks like it did. So the Kiwi yen saw 3 solid days. Look at that. 1, 2, 3. Last week before pairing back on Friday. Resistance is going to be 74.94 with support at 74.05. We are pushing up towards that upper area. So 74.05 on the downside, 74.94 on the upside. Next one is the Euro Pound. So the Euro Pound posted a hammer on Thursday with follow through on Friday. Resistance to start the week will be 89.41. Boy, it's not moving up there. We're supported 88.57, which would be just taking out these lows here, right there, just a little bit lower. And I may have transposed that. I meant to put 88.75, but I'll go with the 88.57 in case they maybe go sub that level to goose some stops. So 88.57. 89.41. Let's go to the Euro odd. So the Euro odd posted a tweezer bottom over the last 2 weeks. Can you see the prior week? This week, you see that? Short cover may be in order for the week ahead. Resistance will be 58.61 with support at 56.83. A little bit of a wide range because we have this tweezer and we could see this kind of come back and forth. But once again, 56.83. And 58.61. Next is the Euro odd. Oh, let's say Euro Kiwi. The Euro Kiwi posted a hammer on Thursday for a possible weekly bottom. Also, weekly tweezer bottom. You can see here. Resistance on Monday will be 70 even with support at 68.45. Still remains bearish. On to the ASEAN. ASEAN has been marking time over the last week. Resistance is going to be 80.73, and we're in a tight range with support at 79.38. Obviously still bullish, and on to the guppy. We haven't really moved very much in these pairs. Guppy remains bullish, but is swinging back and forth in a daily 125 pip range. Resistance for next week will be 42.68 with support at 41.20. High has been 42.31. And lastly, to wrap things up, go to the Sterling odd. Sterling odd is attempting to forge a bottom. Support will be the weekly level of 76.30 with resistance at 77.75. And that's going to do it here. We're going to take a quick look at the Fangman. Here's Apple, and look at Apple. We closed at a weekly high, which that's what got me thinking, oh, this thing's overall is going to move higher. I'm talking about the NQ. Look at that weekly high on Apple. New weekly all-time high. Switching it back to the daily. Microsoft, we are back above that 216. Once again, here we're looking on a daily. We can take a look where we are right now in the after hours. Oh, solid move here in the after hours. Apple. Wow, up to 143 in the after hours. Look at Amazon. Holding a little bit steady here, 32.22. And then Facebook. Pressing up against that 280. We're at 278.36. And we'll switch over to the other chart to take a look at Netflix. Looking pretty solid there. Peloton, still looking, look at it, still pushing back up here. PayPal, gap up here in PayPal. eBay, holding up well above here. So it's starting out the week pretty solid with these pair. And NASDAQ has already taken a tag, on a near tag at 3,500. We'll wrap it up there. You can see there. But 35, I keep saying 3,500, but 13,500 and 13,583 is 161%. You see that there. And here on the 30-minute, when you extend this range out, that gives us 13,564, which will put us right there, confluence with that. So that's where we're at. Thanks for joining us here on the European crossover webinar, and we'll see you in the chat room.